Hello everyone, how are you? I hope your days are going well. So my name is Arlinda and I'm here going to presentate about linguistic thesis with their related study. Hope you enjoy it. So the title of the thesis is a study of wordplay translation in Lewis Carroll's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Ahiko Antaniami in 2018. And here the main issues are classification of wordplay based on the Labastitas and Leach wordplay classifications, and the techniques of wordplay translation based on the Labastita. And then the main object here is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, a novel, and then the keywords here are Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, translation techniques, and wordplay. And then the first related study that I got here is the translation of wordplay in literary text. The author is Joseph Marco. The year published is in 2010. And the main issue here is analyzing wordplay translation on the basis of the three aspects mentioned in the title. The main object here is literary text of English Catalan. As you can see from the title of the study that this study is to analyze wordplay translation on the basis of the three aspects mentioned in the title. There are wordplay typology, translation techniques, and relevant factors. So the researchers here conducting the De La Bastitas theory and Alado's theory. And then the similarities between this thesis and the given thesis is both theses analyze the data by using De La Bastitas theory, and both theses also use a qualitative method, and the difference here is only the result. Both theses found a different technique. So the second related study here is a wordplay in Donald Duck comics and their Finnish translations. The author here is Merit Koponen. The year issued here is 2004. The main issue here is to examine the use of wordplay in comics and examine what happens to wordplay in translation. And the main object here is 12 English Donald Duck stories and their Finnish translation. So in this study, the researcher analyzed the examples of wordplay that were collected from 12 Donald Duck comic stories by Karl Barks, and then the researcher compared the source text to their Finnish translation. Wordplay was found to be a fairly frequent source of humor in comics, although it is by no means the only important feature. And then the similarities here are both theses stated that there are some obstacles to translate some wordplay, and then the both theses using qualitative method, and the differences here are this thesis using a general theory of verbal humor, and then the purpose of this study is different from the given thesis that I got. So the third related study here is an investigation of pun translatability in the two English translations of the two Quran. The author here are Hussein Fahid Dasjardi and Elaheh Jamsidian. The year issued here in 2011, and the main issues here to explore what strategies are applied by the translators on the one hand, and the main object is Quran. So the study here is to find and classify different kinds of puns in the Quran and to explore the problematic areas in translating them. So the researcher digging out the strategies employed by the two translators. In other words, Arbery and Pictol in tackling the puns in the Quran will be another outstanding part of this study. So the similarities here, this thesis adopting a theory of De La Bastita also, just like the other thesis that I got and that I found. And then both theses found the same result. It is about the technique that is used the most in translating the wordplay. And then the difference here is only one, this thesis using descriptive study. And then the fourth related study here is a translation strategies for wordplay in The Simpsons. The author here is Elina Korhonen. The year issued is in 2008. The main issues here is to analyze how Sari Luhtanen has rendered as subtitles the abandoned wordplay in The Simpsons, and then the main object here is a serial movie The Simpsons. And then in this study, the researcher tried to investigate which strategies does Luhtanen use to retain the puns in the subtitles. So the purpose of this study is to know which strategies that the translator used to translate the wordplay in The Simpsons. But in this study, the researchers only use her assumption. And then the similarity here also using the Labasitas translation strategies, and then both theses explain all the linguistic features which are exploited in creating wordplay, such as phonological and graphological structure. And then the differences here, this study using quantitative analysis of the data. And then the last related study here is a wordplay in Shrek movies and its Bahasa Indonesia subtitling text. The author here is Sigit Wibisono. The year issued is in 2014. The main issues here is to analyze how the wordplay in Shrek movies is translated into Bahasa Indonesia. And then the main object here is a word and phrases concerning wordplay in Shrek movies. In this study, the researchers attempts to analyze how the wordplay in Shrek movies is translated into Bahasa Indonesia. In doing so, three objectives are formulated. First is to describe types of wordplay, and then describe techniques used by the translator, and then to explain the degree of equivalence of the translation of the wordplay in Shrek movies. Among them, morphological development is in the highest number. And then the similarity here, both theses use a qualitative method, and then the difference here is this thesis focus on one problem, that is the linguistic aspect of translating humor. Since all theses or all the journal that I got mostly contains the De La Basitas theory, so the conclusion here is most of the theses that I found were using De La Basitas theory. Since that, it means that there is no gap studies because most of the theses are related to each other and they mostly explain all of the theory well.